Let's ask the Bible. John chapter 1 verse 18. Has anyone seen God before according to the Bible? Do you know what contradiction is? To say this for us to see the exact opposite of what is said in the same book. God is not a human being who should lie. If God is revealing his message to his prophet and to the disciples of Jesus, God knows what is in the Old Testament and it shouldn't contradict.
This kind of scene that John is talking about is different from what all these people saw, right? It's the knowing, it's the understanding, it's the perceiving with the mind's eye that which is not physical, okay, and that which only Jesus can reveal to us. All right. Thank you for tuning in into today's video. It's been a while that I made a video, but thank you for tuning in today's video. So today we are looking at apparent contradictions and discrepancies and inconsistencies in the Bible. This is like almost a 3 hours video, but I've managed to watch all of it pretty much. Not all of it, but almost all of it to the end. But from the look of things, these things that this person actually talks about, they are not contradictions or inconsistencies, but the way the person is reading the Bible, it's him trying to reach and trying to make things out of nothing, disturbing the faith of Christians. Like I said, this person claims to be a Christian once upon a time, but now he no longer believes, and he just has made it his business to try and disprove and deceive people from the faith. If the Bible has an error in it or errors in it, does this affect what we call biblical inerrancy or infallibility? All right, let's have a listen.
Let's check the first contradiction in the Bible. Queen, the first contradiction. Let's ask the Bible. John chapter 1 verse 18. Has anyone seen God before according to the Bible? Do you know what contradiction is? To say this for us to see the exact opposite of what is said in the same book. God is not a human being who should lie. If God is revealing his message to his prophet and to the disciples of Jesus, God knows what is in the Old Testament and it shouldn't contradict. Has anyone seen God before? John chapter 1 verse 18. Yes or no? Let's go. John chapter 1 verse 18.
No one has ever seen God.
Queen, this is a definite article.
Thank you.
No one has ever. I want you to listen to the English before we proceed. Now start again.
Verse 18. No one has ever seen God.
No one has ever seen God.
The only Son,
The only Son,
who is the same as God,
who is the same as God,
and is at the Father's side.
and is at the Father's side.
He has made him known.
He has made him known. Please, according to this verse, has anyone seen God before?
No.
John says no. Now, Exodus chapter 24, verse 9. Has anyone seen God before? The New Testament says no. Now let's check the Old Testament.
Exodus 24 verse 9.
9.
Moses, Aaron.
Now, please,
Hey.
let's check the number of people that are going to see something. Now, let's start. Let's go.
Verse 9. Moses,
Now, please. Moses,
Aaron,
Aaron,
Nadab,
Nadab,
Abihu,
Abihu.
and 70 of the leaders of Israel went up the mountain.
Moses, Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, and 70 of the leaders of Israel went up the mountain. Yes?
And they saw the God of Israel.
They saw the God of Israel.
Beneath his feet was what looked like
A sapphire.
a sapphire, as blue as the sky.
Okay.
God did not harm these leading men of Israel.
God did not harm these leading men of Israel.
They saw God,
They saw God.
and then they ate and drank together.
They ate and drank together. Please, according to Exodus chapter 24, has someone seen God before? No. According to this verse.
Yes.
Yes.
This
They
verse
have
there,
seen
yes.
Yes.
Now John 1:18 says no one has ever seen God.
Yeah.
We check from the Old Testament. Moses, Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, and 70 leaders
Leaders
saw God.
saw God.
Hey,
Now Exodus chapter 33, verse 18. Now, if someone has seen God before,
we will see.
we'll see.
Exodus 33 verse 18.
Verse 18.
Then Moses requested,
Then Moses requested,
please,
please,
let me see the dazzling light of your presence.
let me see the dazzling light of your presence.
The Lord answered,
The Lord answered.
I will make all my splendor pass before you,
Now God told Moses, I will make all my splendor pass before you.
and in your presence,
And in your presence,
I will pronounce my secret name.
I will pronounce my sacred name.
I am the Lord,
I am the Lord.
and show you compassion
Show you compassion.
and pity on those I choose.
Continue.
I will not let you see my face, because
Queen, this is what God said. He told Moses, Moses, I will not let you see my face. Meaning, he can see him, but seeing his face will be the problem. You will not see my face. Continue.
Because no one can see me and stay alive.
No one can see me and stay alive. In context, you can see God, but the only place you cannot see is his face.
Exactly.
That is why when on the Ark of Covenant, there are two angels on the Ark of Covenant, and they've covered it with their wings. They cannot look at the dazzling light of the Almighty, meaning you can't see God's face. Meaning, that's why when we read Exodus chapter 24, they were describing his feet. They didn't talk about his face. So John lied.
Hey.
You say, hey, so continue. What was this? Continue.
Hey, John.
21.
21.
But here is a place beside me,
So here is a place beside me
where you can stand on the rock.
where Moses can stand on the rock.
When the dazzling light of my presence pass by, I will put you in an opening. I will put you in an opening,
yes,
in the rock,
and
cover you
with my hand,
until I pass by.
until I, God, I pass by. Now, yes.
Then I will take my hand away,
Then I, God, I will pass by. Then I will take my hand away.
and you will see my back, but not my face.
You will see my back, but not my face. So, Queen Liz, has somebody seen God before?
Hey.
Yes. John 1:18. Where's that?
Hey, my Christian brothers and sisters. Today they were all in the same soup. Today, yeah.
This is number one.
Let's
John
put our
1:18.
emotions aside.
Let's go again.
Let's
Yeah.
listen to this.
No one has ever seen God.
Ade, Obwa.
You see, John 1:18 said, no one has ever seen God. So, my fellow Christians, just go back and then check. So, Queen, let's go to number 2.
Yo.
I've been struggling to decide and discern, who is serious about asking questions that matters and it's important and needs an answer, and somebody who just is a cynic and a skeptic, or somebody who just want to laugh, at Christians and Christianity. So this person falls into that category, falls into a person who he said he was a Christian once upon a time, but now he's no longer a Christian, and his aim and his purpose is just to open the eyes of other people to see the errors in the Bible and in the Christian worldview. And this is some of the things that he does. He goes into people's podcasts and channels and then try to explain things in his own understanding, and try to disprove the Bible so that people would throw the Bible away, because the Bible was written by men to enslave Africans. But in what ways is John here telling us that nobody has ever seen God, but the only begotten Son, who is at the bosom of the Father, he has made it known? We just have to understand what John is saying, pretty much, because John chapter 1 tells us, or introduces to us, the Logos, or the Son of God, who is at the bosom of the Father. Him alone is in communion with this God. Him alone is the person that has seen this God face to face, because in John chapter 1 verse 1, Bible tells us that in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So before all things were created and came into being, this Word, this Logos, was with God, and this Word was God himself. So in what sense, John, are you telling us that nobody has seen God? Because you just told us Jesus is God, right? So which God are you talking about, right? So it is clear that in John 1:18, he's talking about the Father, because he said, no one has seen God, but the only Son who is at the bosom of the Father, he has seen him. And it's not just John that talked about this, that the hiddenness of God, that nobody has seen God. Jesus himself talked about the fact that nobody knows the Father. Paul talks about the fact that nobody knows God, or nobody has seen God. In John chapter 6, Jesus tells us that nobody has seen the Father. All right, so John 6, verse 46. Jesus says that not that anyone has seen the Father except who he is from God. Not that anybody has seen the Father except he who is from God. He has seen the Father. Okay, so it is this Son of God who has seen the Father. Nobody has seen the Father. Nobody, not even the people in the Old Testament. All right, not just Jesus. Paul also talks about the fact that nobody has seen God. God dwells in an unapproachable light. So in 1 Timothy 6:16, Paul tells us that maybe start from the 15, he says that which he displayed at the proper time He who is the blessed and only sovereign, the King of kings and the Lord of lords, who alone has immortality, who dwells in unapproachable light, whom no one has ever seen or can see. No one has ever seen or can see. All right. So God is spirit. John chapter 4. God is spirit, and those that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. So in the Old Testament, we see that a lot of people saw God, so to speak. They saw, Isaiah saw, Moses saw, Job, Manoah and his wife, Gideon, Joshua, Hagar, Abraham. All these people saw God in the Old Testament. With Moses, the Bible described that Moses saw God face to face. The passage that this person just read, the 70 elders and Moses went to the mountains and they saw the feet of God in a pavement or in the staircase, right? Moses saw God's back and not his face. Moses wanted to see God's glory, right? The whole nation of Israel, they saw God in a form or in a manifestation of a cloud or fire and the angel of the Lord or human form, right? So these are what we call theophanies or Christophanies in the Old Testament. So theophanies is a visible manifestation of God. Or Christophanies, if you agree that these manifestations of God was the Son of God in the Old Testament. So one thing that you can notice from all these manifestations of God or encounters of God is that they saw parts of God. They never saw the fullness of God. They never saw the full essence of who God is. They only saw some part of God. We can see that Moses wanted to see the glory of God, and God told him, you can't see my glory and live. And that is true, right? Because Moses was allowed to see God's back. Moses saw God face to face, okay, which pretty much means the presence of God, because face to face didn't mean he was like face to face with God, just like we use the word. There's nothing like that in the Bible, but the Bible used that word to pretty much mean the presence of God. All right. We have Gideon saw God as the manifestation of the angel of the Lord. Manoah and his wife saw God as the angel of the Lord. Hagar saw God as the angel of the Lord. Joshua saw God as the Lord of hosts, the captain of the Lord's army who has come. Job saw God in a vision. Isaiah saw God in a vision. So what does all these have in common? They saw a form of God, but not the glory of God, the fullness of who God is, the essence of who God is. God will cover the people's face. He will let them see just a part of him. He will let Moses see the back of him. He will appear to these people in the form of a fire, a cloud. So you can tell they never saw the fullness of God. So when John tells us that nobody has ever seen God, which in this case is the Father, what he means is never have we a time that humans can see God than this time, because the only Son of God who is at the bosom of the Father, he has made him new. He has revealed him. Jesus, who is the Logos in John 1:1, who is at the bosom of the Father, who was with God, who knows who God is, who understands who God is, who has his mind, his will, his everything that God is, Jesus is. He has made him known. Okay, these people saw a form of God, but they never saw the fullness of God. But we do, because we see Jesus, right? We have come to know God because we see Jesus. So Colossians tells us in Colossians chapter 1 that it pleased God that the fullness of the Godhead should dwell in Jesus. All right. So this Jesus in Colossians chapter 1, verse 15, he is the image of the invincible God, the firstborn of all creation. This Jesus is the image of the invincible God. So if you want to know who God is, how God is like, how his character is like, you look to Jesus. If you want to know how God is, what he does, you look to Jesus, right? And not only that, but in the verse 19, for in him, which is for in Jesus, because here he's talking about the Son who has brought redemption to us. For in him, all the fullness of God was pleased to dwell, right? And not just Colossians, but the book of Hebrews in Hebrews chapter 1 also tells us the same thing, that Hebrews chapter 1, Jesus is the, in Hebrews chapter 1, here it is. All right. Oh, not Hebrews 11, Hebrews 1. So Hebrews 1, Jesus, the Son, is the radiance of the glory of God, the exact imprint of his nature. All right. So, like I said, if you want to see God, if you want to know who and how God is like, you look to Jesus. There is a scene that in the Old Testament they never saw God, but in Jesus we've seen God. There is a knowing that in the Old Testament they did know God, but there's a knowing that we here, Christians here, can know God because Jesus has made him known. We should not think that John is ignorant of people seeing God in the Old Testament. We shouldn't think like that, because John knows exactly and understands and has read that people in the Old Testament did see God. He knows it in John chapter 12. In John chapter 12 verse 39, therefore they could not believe, for again Isaiah said, he has blinded their eyes and hardened their hearts, lest they see with their eyes and understand with their hearts and turn, and I would heal them. And in the verse 41, this is what John says. Isaiah said these things because he saw his glory, God's glory, and spoke of them. So John is not ignorant of the fact that Isaiah saw God in the Old Testament, saw God in Isaiah 6, right? So the whole idea to say that these New Testament writers didn't know anything about the Old Testament, so it's a discrepancy here. It doesn't make sense. All right, so let's go back to John 14 about the point that Jesus was trying to make here. So you can see from all the points that I've made that these people, Moses and Abraham and Gideon and Joshua and Manoah and his wife, all these people, in a way, saw a fragmented version of God, saw a different part of God. Okay, God, by his grace and mercy, allowed these people to see him in a way that we humans can see him and not die. Because all these encounters that these people had with God, I talk about Gideon, talk about Manoah and his wife, right? The Isaiah, okay, they said that, oh, we are going to die. Jacob talk about, oh, I'm going to die because I've seen the Lord. Manoah, his wife, talked about, Manoah said, oh, we are going to die. Manoah's wife was like, no, we are not going to die. If we were going to die, he wouldn't have accepted our offering. Gideon said the same thing. Oh, I'm going to die because my eyes have seen the Lord. Isaiah, well, he talked about, woe is me, for I am undone, because I dwell among peoples with an unclean lips. All right. So this kind of scene that John is talking about is different from what all these people saw, right? It's the knowing, it's the understanding, it's the perceiving with the mind's eye, that which is not physical, okay, and that which only Jesus can reveal to us. only Jesus can reveal to us. So Jesus echoes this in John 14. All right. So in John 14, when Jesus said, I am the way, I am the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you had known me, you would have known my Father also. And from now on, you do know him and you have seen him. Wait, what? What do you mean from now on we do know him and we've seen him? We don't see him. Okay, so this knowing that John is talking about is through the Son of God who shows us the Father. That was what Jesus talked about in the Gospels. I've come to make the Father known, right? So from now on, you do know him. Here he's talking about the Father, and you've seen him. And then Philip said to him, show us the Father, and it is enough for us. And Jesus said to him, have I been with you so long and you still do not know me, Philip? Whoever has seen me has seen the Father. How can you say, show us the Father? Do you not believe that I am in the Father and the Father is in me? The words that I said to you, I do not speak on my own authority, but the Father who dwells in me does his works. So can you see that? What John was built upon, because John 1 was an introduction to the whole Logos of God, whole Son of God who has come to tabernacle. So this Jesus can reveal God to us in a way that the people of the Old Testament never knew. This Jesus can reveal God to us in a way that we see God more clearly than they did, because they saw parts of God and not the whole fullness of God. Because if it pleased God that the fullness of deity, the fullness of the Godhead should dwell in Jesus. And when we see Jesus, we can say with John the Baptist, behold the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. All right, grace and peace.